Welcome to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Let's have a live look at Bitcoin right now. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XVX index currently at $38,960, pulling back about 1.3% over the past 24 hours. The CoinDesk Ether price ETX index at 2862, also falling back about 1.7%. And the DFX CoinDesk DeFi index is at 226, taking the biggest hit at almost 5.9% down. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data. All right, as part of CoinDesk Payments Week, we've been exploring the power of payments, which can sometimes be taken for granted. And that was a lesson learned by many Russians when fleeing their homeland and finding their Mastercards or Visas no longer working outside their country. All right, joining us now to discuss is Jorn Lambert, Chief Digital Officer at Mastercard. Thank you, Jorn, for joining us.
Good morning, Christine.
Good morning. So, we want to ask, first of all, what went down into the decision of cutting off Russian users from their credit cards? Was it sanctions? But since it impacted all Russians, did it go above and beyond that?
So look, we, as every regulated institution, we are first and foremost following regulation, following the law. And the moment that several governments are implying sanctions, we obviously have to immediately apply that, which is what we did the moment these sanctions hit. Now, after that, what Mastercard does overall in the globe, not just in a single country, is to make sure that the integrity of the financial system functions, and that when a consumer pays at a merchant, that money is actually arriving. And when there are big disruptions in an economy, in this case because of a war, then the entire system gets disrupted. There is big structural risks arising. And so for us to make sure that the entire system continues to run, we decided to shut down the Russian economy for us, or the Russian payments for us, and it's really to avoid a kind of ripple effect into other countries because of run-on banks, because of risks there. And so that's really what's the rationale. It was one, to keep the integrity of the system whole in the face of a very severe disruption.
I suppose for many Russian users, they're finding themselves, though, unable to use their credit cards and at a spot because many of them were against the Putin regime and now find themselves even in a worse situation.
No, there is no doubt that there is impact to consumers, and it's really very regrettable because, like you say, many consumers have really no direct view or support for any kind of regime. And like I said, this was not a political or a moral statement on our part. It was really about the integrity of the system. What you don't want is that because of a big run of the bank, or because of a big failure, or because of a big risk, you see a ripple effect going through the world, frankly, and we are a worldwide connected system, and that then other consumers are finding themselves in a predicament. And so it was a risk management approach beyond, obviously, the sanctions that we had to do. Clearly, not something that we wanted, not something that we would like to see happen to anybody, but unfortunately something that we were constrained to do.
Is there any idea on how long these measures will last?
I think that all depends on the context, both the geopolitical context on the ground, but also the risk parameters that are happening. And as you just said at the opening, there is a lot of volatility in financial markets now. It's all a bit jittery. We're seeing inflation going up. We're seeing interest rates probably going to move. So the volatility climate is really quite impressive right now.
Indeed, there's a lot of macro uncertainty, volatility in the markets, but yet we are also talking to a lot of crypto businesses that are building in the down market. So I wonder, from Mastercard's perspective, how will legacy payment services adapt to the changing world of digital finance?
Yeah, look, we've been in market for decades, and we've always embraced innovation because innovation generally, or I would say almost always, brings benefits to consumers, to merchants, to businesses. And so to me, the whole crypto economy, the blockchain technology is one of the most interesting evolutions that I've seen in my career. One that will bring enormous benefits to economy. One that will probably reorder value chains and reorder businesses, as well as most technology changes bring. And so we're really looking to embrace it and to bring utility benefits. Most, if not almost all of the activity on the blockchain in the crypto economy is about consumers buying, selling, and holding crypto asset, mostly as an investment vehicle, right? And I would say that's probably 90% of the activity there. That's not necessarily payment, but those consumers, once they have done well, and many have done well, they want to give an utility to the wealth that they've built up. And that is, for example, what we're primarily focused on now, making sure that those consumers who now have some wealth can actually use it and can buy a shirt, can buy a pair of shoes, or anything that they really want with those crypto holdings. And that's kind of some of the programs that you've seen of late, the Gemini.
Well, earlier this month. Yeah, we learned that, you were going to mention the Gemini product. Also earlier this month, we learned that Mastercard is partnering with Nexo, as well as a corporate payment service provider, DiePocket, to give out a credit card and help give customers the ability to, maybe you can walk us through what you're offering.
Yes. No, but look, to me, the Nexo product is one of the most innovative products out there, because if you think about it, there's different ways in which you can structure a card product attached to a crypto balance. The most simple one is, okay, you have a debit card. That debit card, every time you buy a shirt, you sell a little bit of your crypto holdings as you buy it. Works really well. It is quite common out there now. But many of the people who hold the crypto balances don't really want to sell it. They want to hold on to it. They don't want to pay taxes, but mainly they like their crypto balances. And so then you have the credit cards, which is a regular credit card, whereby, like a Gemini card, whereby the consumer gets a loan from the credit card issuer based on their FICO scores, based on their credit worthiness, which works really well, and then they get rewards. But not everybody has a credit history, especially many of the people who hold crypto balances are young generations that don't have a great credit score. And so what Nexo did is like, well, actually, they may have $10,000 in crypto balances, but no credit history. Why don't we actually provide a credit line that is backed up by their crypto balances so that they can spend $9,000 out in the market, backed by the $10,000 of their crypto balances without having to sell it. And I think that, in addition to the zero fees, in addition to 2% crypto rewards, is a product which I think is exactly for that kind of audience that likes crypto, that wants to use their wealth that they have built up, and that wants to be rewarded in the process.
Right. Well, it's very interesting to see how Mastercard is innovating. Jorn, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
That was Mastercard Chief Digital Officer Jorn Lambert. All right, and coming up, crypto markets update with a London-based exchange, CX.io. Let's check in on Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XTX index currently at $38,960. Bitcoin pulling back about 1.25%. The CoinDesk Ether price ETX index also at 28.49, tracking losses of just over 2%. And the DFX CoinDesk DeFi index at 226, making losses about 5.8% over the past 24 hours. The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem. All right, joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Will Evans, Managing Director of the Americas at London-based crypto exchange CEX.io. Welcome, Will, to the show.
Thank you, Christine. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. So we're seeing a lot of pressure in the market today. And, this is following a lot of volatility. We've been seeing ups and downs almost every day, thin volumes and macroeconomic certainty. I wonder where you see the crypto markets headed.
I think you hit the nail on the head. The macro environment, there's a number of factors. We have the ongoing war in Ukraine. We have the sanctions on Russia. We have inflation. I mean, what couldn't be a more perfect storm for volatility, right? And we're seeing that. At the same time, we're seeing some consolidation. We're seeing some sideways movements in the crypto markets. We're seeing a stronger correlation to the tech stocks. The NASDAQ 100, we're seeing, a 0.695 correlation over the last 40-day period. So, we're seeing that getting closer and closer, inching up to, a stronger and stronger correlation as we get to 1. And for some of those viewers who may not understand the correlation, but as we get closer to 1, it's highly correlated. A -1 is not correlated. So, as customers look at risk on assets, they're looking at crypto as a risk on asset, just like they would in the stock market. So, in times of inflation, they look at safer investments. So, but then, we'll see other things that push the price back up a little bit. So we'll probably see more of the same in the near future.
All right. And I wonder if you're seeing any trends and inflows and outflows from your exchange and any trends from either retail users or institutional.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I think, the downturn that we're experiencing now or kind of the, I would say, close to more on the bearish side than the bullish side, than over a year ago, we're seeing stronger flows. And stronger buying patterns. We are seeing, I would say, larger inflows from institutions and larger investors taking advantage of the lower price in the market right now and buying up. I think as we saw over the past year, the development in the derivatives crypto market, in terms of options, that's providing more stability to the market overall because we're seeing less extreme volatility as we did maybe a year ago.
It's interesting because cryptocurrencies, or Bitcoin in particular, is argued to be a store of value. So to be a digital gold safe haven asset. You're saying it's trading more like a tech stock. So what do you think, what narrative will win out in the end, do you think?
That's a good question. I think, I think in terms of long-term positions in crypto, you could consider store of value. I think if you're a short-term player and you're playing volatility, you're going to be more subject to, the macro trends and the geopolitical trends as well. So, it's hard to say. I think, safe store of value, it depends on your timeline.
All right. And in terms of the altcoins, anything that is particularly interesting on the exchange and any interesting trends in Europe in general?
Yeah, I think we're seeing more and more coins come to market. I think our new listings team is busier than they've ever been. I think what's really interesting is what we're seeing develop in DeFi. And how that is affecting the altcoin market overall. Because, in terms of Bitcoin itself, we're seeing, a deepening tie between Bitcoin and DeFi. An additional 13,000 Bitcoin were minted in Ethereum over the last 3 months, and that's about 590 million at quarter end of this year. The leading DeFi network now holds roughly 335,000 Bitcoin, or 1.6 of the sovereign Bitcoin supply. So, we're seeing, that crossover start to happen in terms of interoperability from the generation one, layer one blockchains such as Bitcoin with generation two, generation three blockchains.
All right. Well, we got to wrap it there, but thank you for joining us. That was CEX.io Managing Director of the Americas, Will Evans.
The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
Layer 1 smart contract protocol Solana is down 45% year to date. Nevertheless, the founder of the Ethereum competitor is bullish on Solana's future. Earlier, I had a chance to speak to Solana Labs founder and CEO Anatoly Yakovenko at the Crypto Bahamas Solana Hacker House. Have a listen.
It seems like every other day there's somebody posts a chart of us hitting all-time high in activity on the network. So that's always a good sign. Just a number of users, number of applications launching, especially NFTs. It seems like it's growing like crazy.
Tell me a bit about what are the NFT marketplaces for Solana, and regionally, what are the most popular countries or regions that are using Solana?
So Magic Eden, I think, is the biggest marketplace right now. But OpenSea, which was the big one on Ethereum, they also launched support for Solana as well. And I think the last 24 hours, this NFT drop called OK Bears had the 40% of OpenSea's volume, like including Ethereum. So that's been really exciting.
All right. So what in going forward, you see the use cases being NFTs? Will gaming involve play to earn games, or?
I think everything that seems to be gaining traction in these platforms is DeFi under the hood. So even though it's NFTs or like a play to earn game like Steppen, there is like a DeFi component to it, and that's, I think, the magic of the space, is that this is a new business model that's separate from advertisement. It doesn't steal anyone's data. They don't shove you ads that you don't want to, or twist your arm to get a subscription. It's purely users engaging and participating in these networks, and the platforms are able to monetize that. And that's, I think, very transformative.
And are these new projects, or is a lot of it, what was done on ETH is now being done on Solana?
No, Steppen is a totally new game, and I think they're hitting close to like 1 million users, which is really, like one of the first breakout crypto applications. And you see games like Mini Royale, which is also at around 800,000 users.
And regionally, are you seeing Solana used more in certain continents or countries than others?
It's the network, I think, is agnostic, but there's certain applications that are more popular. I think Steppen is really popular in Japan. And different NFT sets are targeting different demographics, different regions. So it kind of varies.
So in February, we saw the Wormhole Exploit, where $320 million was sapped from the Solana ETH bridge. So when that happened, walk me through that when you heard about that, and what was the process to regroup?
Oh, man. Well, when I heard of it, my stomach kind of twisted. It was really scary, right? Smart contract risk and implementation risk, I think, are the biggest risk factors in smart contract platforms. But the Jump Crypto team that built Wormhole and supporting it, they are, I think, the most dedicated true believers in the space. And they had, by the time I heard of it, they had already had a patch that was being deployed, plus decided to refund and make all the users whole. So,
what are the lessons learned from that whole exploit?
I think the big lesson is that implementation risk is a real thing, and this is a whole new way to build software, and it has to be bug free. That's the really hard part. And the tool,
we all wish.
Yeah, we all wish, but the tools that we need to build bug free software, they're not yet fully commercialized. So this is stuff like in academia that's been done for full verification and being able to automatically verify and validate software. this has not yet been a common practice across normal software development, but I think because of crypto it will be. So that transformation is slowly happening.
One, is there any chance of recovering the funds? And with two, with crypto jumping in and backstopping the losses, is that going to be a precedent in crypto?
So I think you would have to ask Jump Crypto for that. Like, I think it was their project, right, and they took responsibility for it. I don't think every crypto project has that option. Like, most of them are teams that are not funded with $300 million, right, on their balance sheet. They're actually quite small seed level teams, as you can see from the Hacker House. So that's I would hope that that's the precedent, but we'll see, right? That's a very hard decision to make for each individual team. I think in terms of
recovering the funds.
Recovering the funds, you would have to ask the Jump Crypto team. I don't know. I think what we've seen generally in crypto, it happens. Like with the Bitfinex hackers got caught effectively, but it takes time.
You can track it on the blockchain. In one case, in the more recent hack of $600 million taken from the Ronin Axie-linked Ronin network, it turned out that North Korea was behind the hack. What can you do when a state actor is trying to attack your network?
Yeah, that's a scary thing. But yeah.
Is there any idea of who may have been behind the Wormhole Exploit?
No clue.
And in terms of Solana, even before when I last met you was at last year's SALT conference, and that night I believe there was a network outage on Solana. And so going forward, what has been done to make sure things like that don't happen again?
So the network has been growing at such a rapid pace that at every time we 10x in terms of users, there's new engineering challenges. So that was one challenge. I think we grew more than 10x since then, and now sometimes you see congestion on the network. But these are engineering problems similar to what Twitter experienced during their boom times when they were growing like 10 million users a month.
So I wonder, there have been some critics who said that, Solana's become more centralized. Is that the case? And
no, in fact, I mean, even since we talked last year, the number of validators and nodes participating in the network has grown to a point that Solana is basically half of Ethereum. So given that Ethereum's value that it's securing is maybe 20, 30 times bigger, the amount of decentralization Solana has is only half of ETH.
What's the aim to become even more decentralized going forward?
The way Solana's designed, that if it was as big as Ethereum, I believe it would be 5 to 6 times more decentralized.
All right. That's the hot take from Solana Labs CEO Anatoly Yakovenko. Coming up, a word from the Prime Minister of the Bahamas on how to be a crypto-friendly nation, and final thoughts on the Crypto Bahamas conference from the CoinDesk team.
Hi, I'm Michael Casey, Chief Content Officer and co-host of Money Reimagined. You're watching CoinDesk TV.
Welcome back. The Crypto Bahamas conference has put the spotlight on this Caribbean island paradise, population about 400,000 people, and it's openness to crypto businesses. Earlier, I spoke to Bahamian Prime Minister Philip Davis on how they landed a deal with crypto exchange FTX to relocate their headquarters here with commitments to create jobs, offices, and even a boutique hotel.
Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX, he chose or went through many jurisdictions to figure out where to land FTX. So in the end, he chose Bahamas. And I want to know, what went into the conversations and why you think that was?
I'll start off by suggesting that, contrary to popular belief, there are crypto exchanges and crypto business out there that would wish to be regulated. And in his search for a home, he founded the Bahamas because the Bahamas is regulated. We have an act that regulates the crypto space, and he also recognized that we will be nimble and agile enough to continue to update our laws and regulations to suit that emerging market, because it's innovative, it's dynamic, and no doubt we would be moving. We'll have to, at all times, keep abreast of what's emerging, and at the same time have our laws aligned to the emerging markets to protect participants in the business, to protect businesses themselves, and more importantly, to preserve the integrity of our jurisdiction. He also recognized that there's a dearth of professionals in the financial service industry in the Bahamas who are pivoting away from the traditional financial services, and we're being innovative to embrace a new space and this emerging market. So the Bahamas, a stable country, a country that abides by law, a country that has in fact introduced legislation to regulate the space. He thought those features were attractive enough to have him come and make the Bahamas his home. And any other crypto business, if they want to do business, the Bahamas is the place to come.
I further asked the Prime Minister what Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering standards were being put in place to prevent the Bahamas from becoming a haven for money laundering or other illicit activities.
We have a very robust anti-money laundering regime and counterterrorism financing regime, and those initiatives are also being applied to the crypto industry as well. We are part of the FATF, and their initiatives to combat AML and CTF financing of issues. We have adopted, and we're adopting them as well for this industry.
So as you would know, the
Attorney General, I'll have him.
Yeah. The international best practices and standards with respect to anti-money laundering issues are being developed in real time through the Financial Action Task Force, and they have a suite of regimes in place and regulations in place to comply with for virtual asset service providers. The Bahamas is very aggressive in amending its legislation and issuing rules on anti-money laundering risks in order to protect the jurisdiction, both from jurisdictional risk but also from bad actors. We are a country that respects international best practices in these regulatory regimes. We are a country that invites businesses to come do business in the country, even in areas which may be deemed higher risk industry. We're comfortable with that. But we're also comfortable to know that we have the regime in place to protect the jurisdiction from bad actors. And we're not a jurisdiction that would be open for bad actors to come.
Finally, the Bahamas is unique for launching one of the world's first central bank digital currencies, the sand dollar. But since its launch in October of 2020, is it actually being used?
The creation of the sand dollar was rather innovative, and the Bahamas led the way in central bank currency on the digital currency. You would note that we issued a policy white paper as a government to signal to both the domestic industry but also globally what the policy direction of the country is going to be with respect to digital assets. Part of that is encouraging uptake by the domestic population in the sand dollar. We have made an announcement that we're going to allow citizens to be able to pay taxes and government fees utilizing the sand dollar. Our Clearing Bank Association has joined the central bank to be able to bank sand dollar through their commercial banks. We're also looking at and working with the regulators to allow Bahamians to be able to utilize B dollars and the sand dollar to access other digital currencies through exchanges and the like. So we have a number of policy initiatives that we've announced last week that are aimed at gearing and bringing Bahamians into the fold of utilizing digital assets, both as consumers, but also as participants in the industry, whether it be entrepreneurs, whether it be creating a professional basis for that. So that's key in our policy initiative.
That was Bahamian Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Ryan Tinder, as well as the Prime Minister Philip Davis. Last but not least, as Crypto Bahamas wraps up, we round up the CoinDesk team on the ground to discuss our impressions and parting thoughts on the conference. Check it out.
Yeah, really the ascendancy of FTX as, a really notable player in the space, as evidenced by just an extremely high caliber guest list. Not a ton of news here this week, but certainly just flexing Bill Clinton, Tony Blair, Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen shows off the FTX empire in a pretty splashy way. So for me, that's the big takeaway, but I'm going to pass it straight to Tracy for her thoughts.
Yeah, I think this is probably the first crypto conference of this size where we're having a huge Wall Street presence. So Anthony Scaramucci of Skybridge and Salt. Salt has traditionally been like a very, Wall Street hedge fund conference. And we're seeing that with the attendees here. We're seeing these Wall Street kind of incumbents with their jackets and then but no ties. And then, anywhere from your crypto, your normal crypto, attendees like 21-year-old devs.
You've seen Anthony Scaramucci without a suit on.
Yeah, but also the contrast between Anthony Scaramucci and Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, on stage, and in the opening announcements. And I'll pass it over to Danny.
Well, you have to hand it to SBF. He has his outfit, his founder outfit. Every founder has one. Mark Zuckerberg had his one set of clothes. Steve Jobs did. SBF, he always wears the branded t-shirt and the New Balance sneakers, so you got to hand it to him there. The biggest takeaway for me has been this is the end of the beginning in crypto. That's what I was told by a couple lawyers, actually, who work in this space. To them, seeing all these institutions, seeing all these hedge funds, just seeing the caliber of this conference really just is evidence of the fact that crypto is going in places that it really hasn't been before, and it's going at an accelerated rate.
Great. I want to echo what you said, Zach, in terms of FTX just showing its presence here in the Bahamas. I mean, I passed by their office. They just broke land. They have the full support of the Bahamian Prime Minister, who has also been at the conference, walking around, giving notes of praise and enthusiasm for the crypto space. And I also was really fascinated by just in general, just the people in Bahamas. They're very in for crypto. We were escorted by the police to and from in a shuttle from the hotels. So that was very interesting. So there's a lot of support here. And Zach, throwing it to you, what was the most interesting conversation you had, or the most interesting thing you heard from someone here?
I think just the sheer volume of high quality crypto contacts who have been at this conference has been pretty overwhelmingly awesome. So, you're running down the halls, you see someone from Telegram, and you haven't necessarily seen them in a long time, and you end up chatting. They introduce you to someone who is also a soon-to-be high-quality crypto contact. So for reporters and editors like us, that's really what these conferences are about. It's like meeting folks, putting a face to a name so that when we hit them up digitally, they're more inclined to answer our messages. So that on that front, this has been an extreme success because the people here, again, are just, it's a high caliber list of folks who are in attendance, roaming the halls. I mean, I will not name drop, but I did indeed mingle with some luminaries in this space. I did a panel earlier today just as a moderator, so it was good.
All right, Tracy.
Yeah, I think probably the two most interesting people I got to interview was the Prime Minister himself and the Attorney General. And one of the things we talked about, and that I also think is a theme of the conference, is just the emergence of the Bahamas as a crypto destination. And you mentioned that FTX has brought the government on a board, and this having the Bahamas become a new crypto destination is kind of part of the government's agenda. And I know Puerto Rico, Miami, it seems like crypto is coming to all of the island nations, and it'll always be good weather for crypto enthusiasts. And then the other really interesting person I met is this 14-year-old developer from India who is here. He's a Solana dev. He is probably one of the youngest devs in the ecosystem, and we have a huge Solana presence here in the conference as well.
He's a bit of a superstar himself as well.
Yeah, I got to chat with him. He said he loved meeting, the Solana founders, and he's having a great time. His dad is also here to be with him. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, the most interesting conversation was also my briefest. I said hello to Tom Brady, and he said hi back. That was I wanted to curse him out, but it's okay. He acknowledged my presence. Then that was all that I needed.
Yeah, I will say just the presence of the base layers here is also notable in which ones are absent. There are hardly any Ethereum projects in attendance from any of my conversations, really heavy on Solana, a presence from Avalanche, a presence from Algorand, but certainly not much represented from the leading smart contract blockchain, which is still Ethereum to date. But some of these upstart chains that are finding advocates in Anthony Scaramucci, if it's Algorand, or obviously Solana with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried and Alameda Research, those projects and those chains are represented heavily here, while other more established networks may not be at this point.
And Zach and Danny, you guys were both at the Solana conference as well as we've been to several others this year. So I wonder, how does this conference compare to others that you've been to?
I think the most notable thing about this conference is just the lack of what we could call the retail attendance. This is very much an audience of the people who normally sit on the stage at other conferences. There's really not many people here that you would consider the average trader. And that makes for a very different experience. This is not ETH Denver, where it's just builders. It's certainly not Bitcoin Miami, where I could say that you almost get a fervent religious base of retail investors. Here, it really is the hedge fund types, the protocol leads, the types of people who are the movers and shakers in this ecosystem, or in many ecosystems rather.
Oh, same question? Nailed it. Okay. I'm going to pull the Bill Clinton in which he said what Tony Blair said. So, you're Tony. I'm Bill.
Yeah, I would say this, this conference is not, L1 specific. There is a huge Solana presence, but we've seen kind of people from every corner. And I have also spoken to some people who, whether they're an investor or on the business development team of certain projects, that they thought this conference was great in terms of rubbing shoulders with future clients. Or, it was definitely, they said it was probably one of the most productive conferences that they've been to.
Well, SALT conference is usually a conference with hedge funds and traditional Wall Street folks who are experimenting or exploring alternative finance. And so that has just evolved into a fully fledged crypto conference. So we still have that hedge fund institutional investor feel. But, since it is a crypto conference, it does have the parties. So just to wrap it off, which one was the wildest party you've been to so far?
Oh, man. Well, there is one night left of partying. So, in the spirit of eternal optimism, we have to say that maybe Steve Aoki at the Bond nightclub tonight. And apparently there's also a lawyer from FTX who is the DJ that is opening the set. So apparently multi-skilled, multi-talented people within the crypto space getting down over at the nightclub. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, that was the CoinDesk Crypto Bahamas panel. Time to check in with Crypto Twitter for our tweet of the day. This is from Henry Arslanian. Don't care what you think about SBF, FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, but you have to respect the courage it takes to go on stage with a former U.S. president and UK prime minister wearing shorts, t-shirt, and running shoes. That's it for First Mover. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Meantime, check out The Hash at noon Eastern and All About Bitcoin at 3 o'clock. Lawrence Luton will be filling in. Have a great weekend. You're watching CoinDesk TV. Also, next up, stay tuned for the daily forecast to see what's happening in the Asia crypto markets.
North Korea's hacking attempts are back in the news today. Welcome to the daily forecast, April 29th, 2022. I'm Megha Chadha of Forecast, covering all things blockchain. Two South Koreans, one a crypto exec, the other an active duty officer, have been indicted for leaking military secrets to a North Korean hacker and getting crypto in return. We'll take a look at that plus a whole lot more coming up. Let's get you up to speed from Asia to the world.
Join thousands of NFT traders who already start their day on CryptoSlam.
First off, yet another crypto firm is leaving Singapore. Cryptocurrency trading and hedge fund manager 3 Arrows Capital is the latest to announce it is moving out of the Lion City. And their new location may come as no surprise: the Middle East's emerging crypto hub, Dubai. In a tweet citing a media report, 3 Arrows Capital co-founder Sudhru said they have decided to move their headquarters to Dubai as the energy in the financial hub's digital asset industry is electric right now. A number of crypto firms have eyed the Gulf region for expansion recently. Among them is Binance, which has obtained licenses in Dubai, Bahrain, and Abu Dhabi after withdrawing its application in Singapore last December. FTX, Crypto.com, Bybit, and Kraken have also set their sights on the United Arab Emirates. 3 Arrow Capital's move comes just days after Singapore said it wants to be a responsible crypto hub. Over in Hong Kong, Samsung Group's investment arm is reportedly set to list a blockchain exchange traded fund, or ETF. According to a Korean media report, Samsung Asset Management's ETF tracking crypto and blockchain companies will be listed on the Hong Kong exchange in the first half of this year. Samsung Asset Management acquired a 20% stake in US ETF sponsor Amplify back in March, giving it exclusivity on providing the company's products in Asia. The ETF will reportedly have an identical structure to Block, a US-listed ETF that invests at least 80% of its net assets in blockchain companies, with Silvergate Capital and Coinbase among its largest holdings. The South Korean asset manager already has 5 ETFs listed in Hong Kong, tracking semiconductors, American tech giants, and Chinese internet companies. You can find those stories and a whole lot more at focus.news. Over in South Korea, a local crypto executive and an active duty officer have been indicted for violating the National Security Act by leaking military secrets to North Korea in exchange for cryptocurrencies. Focus Danny Park reports.
This is the first known case of a South Korean military officer assisting North Korean attempts to hack through an internal army communications network and use crypto. Local media reported that the active duty officer photographed and leaked military secrets using a burner phone after the image quality on a hidden wristwatch camera delivered by the executive was deemed too poor. The crypto investment firm executive reportedly received $600,000 worth of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies from a North Korean hacker, whom he met on the Telegram messaging service 6 years ago. The soldier was introduced to the hacker in 2020 and received almost $40,000 worth of Bitcoin for his efforts. Back in January, the executive was instructed to buy a hacking device using the crypto from North Korea. While the military officer shared login keys in a failed attempt to grant the hacker remote access to the Korean Joint Command and Control System, which is the South Korean military's internal communications network. While the North Korean hacker remains unidentified, the crypto executive and the soldier have allegedly admitted the crimes. Multiple local reports say the army officer stated during the investigation that the espionage was to offset gambling debts he had accrued. One expert says the weight of this felony could see the two put away for quite some time.
국내법에 따르면 이제 그 간첩 관련해서 이 죄는 7년 이상의 그 유기징역을 처하게 돼 있습니다. 상당히 그 죄 형량이 무겁지 않을까 이렇게 판단이 되고요. 그리고 또 군사 기밀을 그 돈을 주고 팔았다는 그 자체가 상당히 죄질이 안 좋은 겁니다. 그래서 저희가 봤을 때는 10년 이상의 상당히 무거운.
Hwang says tracing the roots of this espionage will be harder, despite South Korea's tough crypto regulations.
공작금을 이제 비트코인으로 전달을 해줬기 때문에 실질적으로 추적을 하려고 그러면 그 전자지갑을 추적을 해서 그 돈이 최초에 여기서 돈은 이제 그 가상 자산을 얘기하는 건데요. 그 가상 자산이 처음에 어디서부터 왔는지 그리고 어떤 경로로 유통이 되었는지 이런 부분을 추적해야 되는데 아무래도 개인 지갑 간의 거래에 있어서는 실질적으로 트러블 룰도 적용되어 있지 않고 이러다 보니까 실질적으로 추적이 그렇게 용이하진 않아요.
For Forecast, I'm Danny Park.
The blockchain gaming industry is showing no signs of slowing down. In a think tank study published this month, the industry is set to enter a new era. Forecast Jenny Otis takes a look at what that may be like and how an industry player is taking on the challenge.
The future looks bright for the blockchain gaming industry. According to the recent study by blockchain think tank Hobby Research Institute, new innovations will overhaul the industry. They include new game types and new game modes, as well as the developing role of decentralized autonomous organizations or DAOs in raising funds or even forming a new gaming economy. Victor Tan, co-founder and chief of game growth at gaming platform Rainmaker Games, told Forecast there are many opportunities in the traditional blockchain and free-to-play to earn game space.
The gaming space now in blockchain gaming is with the hype of like play to earn, all this, but it's not limited to play to earn. There will be like there's play and earn now. Some games mention about it, and play and own, play and collect. And we do see that the play and create could be coming, play and build games as well. So there's many different opportunity in blockchain gaming as the NFT has been introduced to this gaming industry. So player has the true ownership of digital asset via NFT technology.
As for the new game modes for monetization, namely social to earn, watch to earn, and play to earn, Tan said the most challenging aspect is the social part or community building. While a good example of a game that offers watch to earn is Hong Kong's Animonica brand's Crazy Defense Heroes.
For this social to earn, as what we Rainmaker games, we have like 70 game partners and more. In our list now, and we have all these game partners that we talk to. Most of the game founder or game core team, game developer team, they have this what they're most struggling with is the social part of it and the community part of it. I believe all these monetization mechanism that we talk about, it will be keep on introduce new monetization model to make the player, the user in blockchain gaming excited over the time.
Tan also agrees with Hobby's findings that DAOs are the future of blockchain gaming.
DAO is a yes to me because it promotes this value of decentralization and co-creative and co-governing and co-manage the blockchain game team or the project together with the component of like players, the project owners, the investor, the stakeholder, the token holder, and the community as well.
So how are gaming platforms tackling the challenges presented by these innovations? The Rainmaker Games co-founders said they are focusing on players' safety and security, which he believes will lead to more players playing the games.
Those games listed on our platform, we kind of like provide a layer of security that we audit their game smart contract, their project smart contract, and at the same time we do penetration tests in their server vulnerability or wallet vulnerability to at a minimum level at least to protect the gamer and users' interest on our platform and the whole blockchain gaming user community as well.
For Forecast, I'm Jenny Ortiz.
And finally, Forecast's editor-in-chief Angie Lau is in the Bahamas, not to enjoy the sun, but to moderate a panel at the Crypto Bahamas event. She's also checking out the country's crypto plans.
Right, Mega, this small country in the Caribbean is turning out to be a hotspot for the crypto world thanks to the likes of FTX, who's jointly hosting Crypto Bahamas this week, along with Thought Leadership Forum SALT. We are here at the Bahamar in Bahamas right now and just finished up the panel. But earlier this week, FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, or SBF as we know, joined the country's prime minister for groundbreaking of FTX's $60 million Bahamas campus. Now, this follows a white paper that the country released outlining the Caribbean island as a leading digital asset hub. Now, back here on the ground at Crypto Bahamas, I had a chance to sit down with event organizers Anthony Scaramucci, already chatted with him, Sam Bankman-Fried, in wide-ranging discussions. And we're going to be bringing you highlights of those interviews all next week on Forecast. Super excited to be here. I can tell you that the institutional conversations is very, very strong. And one of the key themes this week here in Bahamas is the migration of the institutional space and what needs to happen to get into the crypto space. Mega, back to you.
Thanks, Angie. And that's the daily forecast from our vantage point right here in Asia. For more, visit forecast.news and Forecast Megha Chada. Until next time.